I'm the HR assistant and my boyfriend dumped me the day before,
Yeah.
and then your CV arrives, you look like my boyfriend,
Yeah.
or my ex-boyfriend. All this is
Yeah.
happen. So what should job seekers do? They should do everything. They should have an omni-channel approach. An average job seeker doesn't have a strategy.
Yeah.
They just have nothing. We're going to shoot our email and then that's it. We're going to wait. We're going to passively wait. And then we're thinking we've done our work because we sent 20 CVs.
Is it rolling?
Yeah.
Okay. Is it behind too bright though?
Yep, it is.
Okay, wait, let me fix that. Okay, this is much better, right?
Yeah.
Okay. You know what can be bright though? Your future if you get a 50% scholarship with Secure My Scholarship. All you have to do is head down to bit.ly/paylessfees and get a 50% off on your scholarship with the help of Secure My Scholarship.
2, 1. How do I start?
Welcome to the Dollar Diaries. Isn't that did he change that?
No.
It's still the same.
3, 2, 1. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Dollar Diaries. Today, we have an amazing guest with us. Her name is Dee. Hi, Dee. How are you doing?
Hi, good. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
How did you get into construction and what got you into talent acquisition and what do you find interesting about talent acquisition?
Yeah. Okay, great. All right. Really, really high level. So I'm from the UK, and after graduation, I, as pretty much anyone in recruitment will tell you, fell into recruitment. And so I was working with quite a big recruitment agency in the UK. So I worked there in construction, real estate, civil engineering type niche. And stayed there a few years, moved to another startup company, was headhunted in the same niche, stayed there for a while. And then after that, I decided to move to Asia, to Singapore, to essentially set up a boutique employment agency.
Okay.
So, did that for I think we had that about 14 odd years in primarily with a hub in Singapore and in Hong Kong, but covering APAC. And after that was we exited and sold that, and then I got a tap on the shoulder to come to Dubai and help set up the sort of Dubai office and operate as the COO for WhiteCrow. And WhiteCrow is, we say we're the world's largest talent research, talent sourcing company by headcount and revenue today.
I was working with multiple startups and things. And one thing we find extremely annoying and very, anxiety inducing is finding the right people, right? It is, one of the things, hey, what if this person's not the right fit? What if this person's the right fit but we can't afford them? What if this person has the things on paper, but in reality is different? How do you determine if a talent is right? What is that process of talent acquisition?
It is challenging, and to get it wrong can be really costly, right? But now I think, especially with more and more advanced AI tools, etc., we can start to perhaps make more informed decisions. For me, I'm interested in the person. I think that a lot of things can be taught. Of course, we want people to come with certain level of experience, but I also like to have somebody who has a lot of self-awareness. So I, for example, would like, I'm a big fan of Gallup's Gallup Strengths Test Finder. So I've done this test myself. It tells you your strengths, essentially. But what this tells us, if I'm not wrong, there's 32 strengths. Okay, they boiled it down to, we all have something like a range of 32 strengths. And it will rank your strengths in order, right? So if you have an awareness, at least of your top 5, the premise is that if we're showing up in the world, in our work, in our whatever we're doing, utilizing our strengths, then that we're energized. We're doing things that energize us and we're showing up really to the best of our ability. However, if we're in an environment where we don't get a chance to utilize those types of strengths, there's a higher chance of being demotivated, not energized with the work over time, etc. I'm from the school of thinking that we should work to our strengths. If I hire you, I want to know what your strengths are and I want to play to those strengths. I'm not really interested in putting you in a role and making your 5 weaknesses stronger. I'm interested in what their hobbies are, what gets them going. And then I would love for them to do the Gallup Strength Test Finder to give me that extra layer of information as to who is this person, whether they know it or they don't. What are their 5 strengths? Does this role play to those strengths? Yes or no? So that's how I would try and delve.
Do you sort of
it.
assess if they know themselves and they're sticking to their strengths and playing by their strengths?
Yeah, like, I mean, they may not know themselves. And that's why as part of the process, we may have an extra layer of, could you do this?
Okay.
Yeah, because I would think, right, like when I was straight out of university, I had no clue about what I'm good at, right? Like,
and most people don't.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things I hope your listeners can take away from this is that, look, have a level of self-awareness. You also don't want to walk into a job that you're going to be demotivated by or isn't playing to, because if we're doing things that don't energize us, then what's the point? We're going to then what? What are we going to do? We're going to leave the job? We're going to find another job. Now our CV looks like you're a job hopper.
So I would say, like, in my case, what I was doing is I was actually job hopping because I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I was job hopping for like 1 year this, 1 year that, 1 year this, internships here, there. And at the end of the day, it's just like, there's so many lines in the CV, but nothing of substance. And that becomes a hassle a little, not even later, it's like immediately.
Yeah, well, what it does is, because there's a whole argument of, you also are finding yourself, right?
Yeah.
And that's valid. The problem you've got is someone's going to receive that CV and that person will have some layer of cognitive bias and will build a judgment, true or false, because you have no control over that, So if a HR assistant or talent acquisition recruiter looks at this CV and they see 1 year, 9 months, 8 months, whatever, they're like, job hopper, this person's not going to last.
So don't you think the recruiter must have some self-awareness to know his cognitive
100%.
biases?
And this is the thing. Fundamentally, one of the issues in our industry, who's making these decisions and are they the right decisions? And the answer is no, there's flaws in the whole hiring process.
Yeah.
If I'm the HR assistant and my boyfriend dumped me the day before,
Yeah.
and then your CV arrives, you look like my boyfriend,
Yeah.
or my ex-boyfriend. All this is the name.
We're all human at the end of the day.
Yeah, the name sounds like it's from this ethnicity or, I need a man in the role. This is a female. Like all of this has happened because there's a human at some point who's dealing with the decline pile, the acceptance pile. And unless they're trained to be very aware of the biases they bring in the system, which isn't always the case. There could be some errors in that whole process, and it happens all the time.
I do want to circle on that, the job hopping aspect of it, right? Because this is an interesting, like we always had, like when we were all in university, we had this dilemma as well. Should I do an internship? Should I do this? But, like from what I hear versus what I see is that if I did nothing, I probably have a better chance at a job versus I did so many different things and applying. Is that a sense that you're also feeling?
Everything is about packaging, right? So it's the story telling behind that. I don't think it's do this or do that. I think if you've done internships, I actually think that's incredible. That's great. We've got to have the golden thread to explain what all those pieces were about, right? So if you did nothing, that could be also problematic, right? What were you doing? Like watching Netflix, or were you, I don't know, traveling and doing something rich, voluntary? Like, what were you doing? Like, there has to be a story behind all of the pieces that makes sense. So it all comes down to the packaging. I'm looking for what impact. That's what I want. Don't tell me what you did. Tell me what impact that had. Don't just go, I did this, I did this, I did this.
Yeah.
The whole, what they tell writers, show, don't tell. Show the impact of that. I did ABC and then that resulted in DEF, whether that's a number or time saving or money, whatever, or what, just what is the story? What is the impact? Because what you're trying to get across is because of my presence or energy on that project, I had this impact.
I put in all the effort writing the CV, perfect CV, put it across like different ATS checkers to check if the keywords are there, if the correct word counts are there, if there's grammatical error, all there. I put it in, I upload it in something like Workday or something which most companies use. And there's this machine passing through your CV, checking against it and just
ATS,
throwing away your CV, not even going to the
black hole. I call it the dreaded black hole.
Right?
What you just said is a global problem, okay, of what people face when they're looking for a role and they spend this time on LinkedIn or whatever job board sending their CV and then never hear back. Where has the CV gone? Maybe you're lucky enough to get an automated response, maybe not. or sometimes, even worse on LinkedIn, you see if you've got like LinkedIn Premium or whatever, you can see how many people have applied for the role and you're like one of 350.
It says that you're highly positioned for this job, your skills match, this thing match. You apply nothing.
Yeah, it's a problem. And I suppose you need to go, all right, what's happening at the back end? Because now this is where obviously my team play, right? We have loads of recruiters and researchers, and we're at the back end receiving all these CVs, etc. And so the algorithm or the ATS system or LinkedIn, etc., is trying to make our life easy by kind of saying, oh, this person is 90% match. This person is 80% match. This person has 5 out of 10 of the skills. Okay. So it's trying to bump up the ones that it thinks are more relevant. So that is a problem because you've had 200 applications, for example, and it's telling you that these 5 are the strongest match, right? So obviously, as a really busy, stressed out HR person who was dumped yesterday, I haven't got time to do 200, right? So I'm only going to go to those top highly matched, according to the system. What about the remaining? Like maybe they match, but they just didn't write their CV with the right keywords.
Or the other way around, right? Like the false positives. Right? What if they're really bad, but they write their CVs good?
Exactly. And what are we now doing? Who's going to surface them? This overworked and stressed out talent acquisition recruiter is going to hone their energy on what they think is the most relevant, mostly. And so some of those people will just never see the light of day, those CVs. And they'll be put into an ATS somewhere.
Is there a solution out of it, or
is there a solution out of it,
or is that just a
hack?
Do we just
the ATS?
Do we just accept it? Because I've tried it. Like I stopped working in October. The company shut down. Whole other story. But I was applying for jobs. My dad was like asking, "Hey, do you want me to recommend someone?"
Yeah.
It's like, no, let me give it a shot.
Yeah.
1 year passed, nothing happened. Then I got a job that which I'm joining soon. Is that, hey, how did I get it? My dad helped me out, right? It feels a little disheartening that, hey, I'm not getting in through my merit. I have to ask my dad through his merit. I have to get in, which feels a little odd, right? And during that entire process, I've tried writing the CV properly, go to 50 different YouTube videos of how to write your CV, how to do this, workshops, this, that. And then I started cheating the ATS system. I had an ATS system. They said these are the keywords you're missing. I would copy all those keywords, put it on the footer, make it all white and upload it. Still nothing. It was just constant attempts and
I like that. Make it white. That's amazing. That's really innovative.
She taught me that.
That's really cool. You know what? I think you said, do we just sort of accept it? And is no, there are ways around this. And you've hit on something quite important. The jobs that we see advertised are circa 20% of what is really available in the market. We visually think about this. We're talking about that, that picture of the iceberg. The tip of the iceberg, but the bulk is underwater. Yeah. So whether it's 20% or 30% of jobs, if what we're seeing online is the tip, then where are those other jobs? Because we're not seeing them online, right? So how do you discover the undiscoverable? And the answer is exactly how you're getting your job, through your dad, or for me, through my old colleague. Yeah. Yeah. It's the network. It always is. The network is, for me, that is the most powerful way to open doors and land roles. So what should job seekers do? They should do everything. They should have an omni-channel approach. I'd have a really sharp CV. Okay. I'd have a solid LinkedIn profile. My CV and my LinkedIn profile would be congruent. There'd be a golden thread through all my collaterals that tie up nicely as to who Dee is, what she's all about. All right. That's one building block, let's call it. And let's call it collateral, CV collateral. LinkedIn is a collateral. If you're in a job that needs a portfolio, that's another collateral. All right. So you've got to get your collaterals right. However, then what else do you do? So yeah, fine. Find a job online and apply for it. Follow the process, but I'm not going to stop there. I'm going to then go, right, because I'll now think like a headhunter, right? Because it's my background. So I'd go, right, I want to see if I can locate, like a detective, 2 to 3 contacts that can get me closer to the decision maker in this job, whether it's advertised if it's advertised, I want to know who's the HR director. Is there a talent acquisition director? Who's the hiring manager? Is there a way for me to get closer to this person? Can I send them an email? Can I send them an email politely? Maybe a follow-up nudge. I'll try all of that. I'd try all of that to get on their radar. I'd look into my network and go, who knows this person? That's for live open jobs. But in the back, I'd also be talking to my network. I'd be on groups, Facebook groups. I'd be going to my inner circle friends and going, I need your help. This is what I'm looking for. Or does anybody know somebody at Facebook? Does anybody, I'd be activating my inner circle and my network to open doors for me. So I would be doing all of that, because if I'm just sending a CV, I'm sending it down the black hole and I'm invisible. I don't stand out if I'm one of 300. So I'm going to do that, but I'm also going to do this, and that. I'm going to go and say, right, who are the top 5 recruitment agencies in this niche? I want to have coffee with all of them. Now, they might not have coffee with me immediately when I want, but I will pursue them for a year, for 2 years. I'll make friends with them. That's what I would want to do. I would want to go, what's my niche? Finance, fintech. Okay, what are all the conferences and summits happening in Dubai and UAE in this niche, in KSA? I'm going, even if it's at my cost. Now, none of this may land me a job straight away, but I'm not networking necessarily just for the job straight away. I'm networking to secure my line of jobs down the timeline. So this is why I'm always advocating for networking. You network now until you die. I'm networking right now with you guys. As well, right? Because we don't know when our paths will cross, when we might be able to help each other, right? So you don't stop doing that. And for a graduate, especially, let's say you've got your job or whatever, you don't stop networking just because you've got a job. I've got a job, but I don't stop networking. I attend women's events. I attend leadership events. I'm going to summits, etc. I'm constantly trying to improve the depth and the richness of my network and have conversations in the right spaces, in the rooms that I should be in. The question is, if you want to be visible, then what are you going to do to become visible online and offline? And don't think it's like a one-off act. It's not a one-off act. Oh, I'm looking for a job, so I better start networking. No, that's not going to land you the job. But maybe I'm looking for a job, and guess what? Because I'd already for years been building up my network and talking to people and making sure I'm on their radar. I now can approach XYZ. So, when you go back to your dad who helped you get the job, I don't see that as shameful, sad. I see that as powerful, because you ended up accessing something that was beneath the iceberg. Yeah. Because you had the right network who could have the right conversations.
I would think that, hey, I graduated out of university, I had few internships, everything's going good, right? What I'm thinking is that, hey, look, I have to have a good CV. My LinkedIn has to be good, plus it has to be active. A website that I have to keep active, go to networking events, and the network's not just like hi, hello, bye sort of situation. You got to keep sort of foster that connection, everything. On top of that, apply to companies online. And it's not just, you drop in your CV and you're done. You have to drop in your CV and again, refill the same details all over again, because for some reason it can't read the CV. So you do that. And then you just constantly do that over and over and over and over and over and over again. Yeah. And then you get a job. You get a job, you get really busy. Huh?
Or you get jaded.
But the good thing is that, positive thing is that, let's say you get a job. You work 9 to 5 or maybe more, right? You get a promotion, everything, etc. 5 years gone. And then during that 5 years, you got so busy, you left all of this. Yeah. And then when you want to change job or take a break, especially with women, they might want to take a break when they're pregnant, when they want to re-enter workforce, or when you want to change jobs, change industry, all these things you have to restart. So it feels like I don't know, it's probably just frustration, but it just feels like a constant barrage of just work to get work.
Yes. You're right. None of that is incorrect. And that is it. And I would say, when it comes to job searching, you got to sort of treat it as a project, right? As a project, how, and what most people would do is go, okay, I just need to get my CV and my LinkedIn and then I can start applying. But, I think there should be a strategy behind the job search. There should be some thinking around step 1, step 2, or phase 1 is this. And, what is my follow-up strategy if I don't hear back? So in headhunting, right? Headhunters, if we had to open up the headhunting playbook, what do headhunters do? Headhunters try and find jobs to exclusively work on, meaning it's not with any other agency. And then they get that job with exclusivity. and then they try and find somebody for that job, right? Exclusive job and hopefully an exclusive candidate, and marry the two. How do they get those exclusive jobs? What are they doing? Well, they're networking, okay? Because they want to network with the person who will give them that job, right? But that networking isn't, no one's going to do that. Like they have to build the trust, they have to build, it's a road, it's a nurturing process. But they are also they're looking at the live jobs. Who's advertising these live jobs? Okay, I can see there's this job that's advertised. I want to get permission to work on that job. Okay, it's not going to be an exclusive job, but I might have someone for that job. I need to get on the radar of the hiring manager so he can sign my terms and allow me to work on this job and submit candidates. So what are they doing? They're finding the job, then they're locating who the decision maker is or the hiring manager. They're trying to find the email addresses or the phone numbers. They're trying all these extra steps to get that job. It's not a job for themselves. It's a job for someone they want to add in. But that process, okay, like when we were headhunting, we had a process. Okay, we're going to locate the director who's in charge of the project director of that casino project, who's building this casino. Fine. From a construction perspective, we're going to email them. What's our follow-up strategy? Within 48 hours, the next email goes. It's like we had it automated. When do you stop emailing? After the 6th time. Like we had a strategy is my point. Now, I'm not saying do a 6-stage follow-up strategy, but an average job seeker doesn't have a strategy.
Yeah.
They just have nothing. We're going to shoot our email and then that's it. We're going to wait. We're going to passively wait. And then we're thinking we've done our work because we sent 20 CVs. Send your CV and then you didn't hear back. And every time you send and don't hear back, you're feeling lower and lower and your morale's going lower and lower. Now, how are you showing up with energy during your job search when you're 3 months in the process, having sent hundreds of CVs? You're feeling not great. You're not maybe doing all the things because none of it works in your head, right? So you've ended up in this really weird loop that's not going to help you. So my point is, I don't know, when you're at uni, you have your dissertation or your project, like you've got to have a bit of an idea of like, well, right, I'm looking for a job. This is what these are all the things I'm going to do. This is my online job search strategy. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to find the job. I'm going to locate 2 contacts for that job. I'm going to shoot them an email or try and see if I can find their email. I'm going to send them 2 emails. Okay, I'm going to attach my CV. So I'm going to apply through the workday, but I'm also going to send an email, a short email, and upload my CV. I'm also maybe going to see if I've got a connection in my network who happens to be their first or second connection. Maybe they can intro me to warm it up a little bit. So that's my strategy for online. Okay, right. What else can I do? Okay, I'm going to send this WhatsApp message to my inner circle and ask for their help to help open doors. I'm going to tell them exactly what I'm looking for and just ask who they know or whatever. And if I have to have 10 one-to-one phone calls because sometimes you have to, if you want a job and you want to talk to me, if you tell me what you're looking for, it will get me to think, if you're on a phone call with me, like, Dee, I need this, these are my skills. Who do you know? Then you're going to get me thinking that rather than just send me a message, So invest some time in your inner circle. Can they open doors?
A common thought we had with our peers is, hey, if you had a British passport or if you had a different passport, or maybe if you're from a different country, you might get paid more. But if you're Indian with an Indian passport or a Pakistani with a Pakistani passport, you may not get paid as much in the work field.
From the position that I'm in and what I see, we have a long way to go to get parity in terms of parity and equity in terms of ethnicities and gender when it comes to pay. There is a gap. I do see it, and I see some very ugly situations. And I've had conversations with clients where I remember when I was recruiting in Singapore once, and this was in the shipping industry. So I was meeting with a really senior director in the shipping, in working in this shipping business. And it was myself and one of our team members, a recruiter. So it was me and one of my recruiters who was Filipino, right? So you're thinking, okay, Indian and a Filipino turn up to this meeting with this shipping boss, and he's giving us the roles that he's looking to hire. All right. So we're taking down the job description, etc. And then right at the end, he's like, don't send me any Indians or Filipinos. Like straight out. Now, if I was in the UK, you can't say that. Like, you can't say that. That's like, you can't say it. But this guy, straight out. And bearing in mind that he had the audacity to say it to an Indian and to a Filipino, but and I remember saying to him, okay, all right, let's delve a little bit further into this. And so I remember saying to him, why would you judge somebody by the color of their passport instead of their skills? And that's just the terminology I use. But that, he had his reasons for whatever, in this particular case, it was valid in many ways. Like, you needed someone with Mandarin because you could get the work done, the culture, etc. And if you had the Mandarin skills, you could, I guess, get things done without misunderstandings.
Especially
as
in
much.
Singapore, there's a lot of underlying racism against Indians. I know.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
I was born in Singapore, and my dad worked in Singapore for like 17 years.
Yeah. So this kind of thing, like, don't send me this, don't send me that. But I see it here too, right? I see it in the region as well. Don't send me that nationality. Can't have CVs from that country. Can't have that. And some of it's because of the geopolitics, right? Like, certain candidates from certain countries. We were getting a lot of clients who were like, don't send us people from Russia. Like recently, so that all ends up coming into the recruitment process, and we move far away from, are we not just finding the best fit for the job?
And individually, your employees will also have a bias.
Yeah. It can get
It's natural.
quite dark, I think.
Yeah, I think like this would happen. Like there were scenarios like when if the HR managers, for example, Indian, because I'm an Indian.
Yeah.
I would think that they're more likely to choose another Indian over there, especially if it's from the same place, same region. Or in India, you have the caste and creed and all these other extra layers as well.
Yes.
So I would think that would also play a role in it, right? And I would assume that would be the same. So if the person's British, you would most likely hire another British person, American. So I would think that would also, your HR departments or the talent acquisitions demographic kind of represents your company's demographic as well.
It can do. I would say there's no like binary answer. Like there are some clients, some big brands out there who are really doing a lot in, the acronym DE&I. There's also a letter B now. So diversity, equity, and inclusion and belonging. So the companies that are pushing for and have, a team or a person to take charge of the DE&I and B philosophy of the company, let's say, they will have, as long as it's not a bullshitty, gimmicky, we care about diversity type thing. But for the companies that are doing meaningful work, they are mindful of the nationalities and not being weighted too far this way or that way, or certainly trying to address the gender, like for example, gender, the gender gap, etc., or close the gender pay between males and females doing the same job. So there are companies who are really leading the way and driving that narrative. But then there's all, it's like a train carriage, right? You've got the carriages at the front who are leading the way, and then you've got the train is long, and there's a lot of carriages who are, that's not the priority. There's some companies who are fighting the good fight and doing good stuff, but then there's the other sort of people that are jumping on this bandwagon and are like, yeah, we're hiring females, send us more females. But then, I can send, I mean, this is real example. Like I was talking to a lady, she was a black lady, and and this company was saying, we want females and we want, diverse females of certain ethnicities, etc. So they were promoting that, we do want, black talent, so to speak. Okay, great. But when she went for the interview, and it was a panel interview, there were like, all the panel were Caucasian. No one looked like her. No one felt like her. There were no representatives like her in the business. And she talked about a lot of flaws with, are they trying to just reach a quota to say I've interviewed, X amount of females and X amount of, because it doesn't seem very friendly for women or this. And she described a few policies inside the company, like how am I supposed, like working mother, etc., all of that. It wasn't set up in the back to support what they were saying in the front, if that makes sense. So you get companies like that too. I think it's just an ongoing dialogue. I think we're moving in the right direction because it's on people's radar. But some regions, the US and Western Europe in particular, do better. Middle East, North Africa, terrible, like bottom of the pile. When it comes to, I'm talking specifically now, I'm speaking to gender disparity. So just so that the listeners know, the World Economic Forum this year, January 2024, they said that we're now sitting at, it'll be 131 years until we reach a gender equal society. Okay. So I have a son and I have a daughter. So it's going to take my daughter 132 years to earn the same as my son for doing exactly the same
You can
work.
do a live experiment if they have.
I know. And in the Middle East, it's worse, right? In Middle East, North Africa, that number is about 152 years. So we're behind. Saying all that, although it's a depressing stat, when you look at UAE, there's the government's getting behind some pretty decent initiatives like the Gender Pledge. This is significant, and I couldn't see something similar in APAC. UAE, the government getting behind Gender Pledge here in Dubai, and even if we think about Saudi, okay, look, Saudi, yes, behind in terms of in many ways, is like reforming so fast, like super exciting to see what they're doing and how fast they're reforming, and there's a lot more opportunities. Certainly for women in a place like Saudi, which I would never have thought of before, So there's stuff going on.
One common question that I hear from a lot of people, and this is something that I've had thought about when I was doing internships as well. Unpaid internships, right? Should you do it? Should you not do it? What are the considerations if you should consider unpaid internships?
If you think about an internship or any job or any experience, voluntary, paid or not paid. What are the the way I'm thinking about this is there's really three things that you would get, right? Or not get. There's the financial component, okay, but then there's the experience component, and then there's the network, okay. So if for an unpaid internship, my question to self would be, okay, I'm not getting paid. So what are the three things that this thing could give me? I'm not getting paid. Is the lack of that worth the other two things I'm going to get? Is the experience going to be solid for me, build my CV, put me above the noise and the competition? And for me, more importantly, because I keep looping back to the network, am I going to meet whip smart people, make friends with them so that later on they're in my phone and on my WhatsApp, so that 1 year down the line, I can go to them? Am I going to get reference from them? Can I build my testimonials, with the network, and, basically just get to a stage where I've got this person's phone number, etc. If I'm convinced that I can get great experience and get access to people that I would not normally get access to, I would be prepared to take an unpaid internship for a period of time with certain boundaries. So I think we have to talk about the boundaries, because otherwise we go into a little bit of an unethical space. I can't work for free forever.
But
right?
Does that sort of lead into, again, do your due diligence research?
Yeah.
Know the company you're getting yourself into.
Yeah.
Know the people you're going to expose yourself to.
And maybe if you can be part of the conversation to co-create what the boundaries might look like. So for example, if you're offering me an unpaid internship, I'll come here and be like, okay, I think there's power in the give first philosophy. I'll come, I'll give you my time and energy. And now I know I'm on your radar. I'm going to give my absolute most, hoping that, I get the experience, but now I'm getting the network of you and all these other people. But could we come to an arrangement that, all right, if I do ABC, or if I demonstrate this, could you pay me, but could we at least sit down and have a conversation of whether or not moving forward, there could be some sort of exchange.
There's a whole book about this by Adam Grant, Give and Take.
Yeah. Okay, great.
The top 20% of earners are surprisingly givers, not takers. And the bottom 20% are also the givers. So the ones in the middle are the takers.
Interesting. Who was the author?
Adam Grant.
Okay. That sounds like a useful book. So I think we have to, in the end, look, I personally think there's a lot of value in voluntary work and internships, but I think it needs boundaries. It can't just be open-ended.
Yeah.
And I think at some point, if we can talk about, I'm good to come 3 months, whatever, and let's do this stuff. But I know in those 3 months, I'm going to build up my worth, my experience, and my network. Because you're not paying me. That's okay. I'm going to take this mentally as an investment in myself. I'm hoping that what I'm not getting paid today, I'm going to be able to 10x because of everything else I can get later. So maybe I'm not going to get the immediate payoff, but I'm going to use this experience to get a payoff. It just might not show up for me today. It will show up for me later. And if maybe not on day one of the interview, but maybe 3 months in, or when I've got a bit of a warmer rapport, I'll sit and go, listen, what do you need from me? What do I need to demonstrate? If I do A, B, C, could we sit down and have a conversation about a bit of a value exchange? I'll try and feel for those opportunities rather than coming in cold and demanding.
Maybe we could change that sort of approach where us as job seekers we could go and give to these employers who we're interested in, and we're sort of interested in getting that knowledge. If we're able to receive knowledge in return, that itself is a take.
That will get you paid.
Do you get what I mean?
Later, yeah.
Forget about the taking part. That comes without you put in effort. You'll get. You don't have to take anything. You will get it.
Yes, it comes.
It comes to you. But so the approach I would sort of see for myself is, I meet a friend. I like this guy or girl. She's running a business. I'd really like to be supportive of their business. I'd like to, whatever skill I have, I'm ready to throw it at them and try to take their business just a notch above where they're at.
Yeah.
If you believe in yourself, if you can do that for them, so go ahead. And that leads to that mind frame where you're scared you're scared to ask. You're scared to ask for help. Forget about asking for help. Just tell them what you can put forth to them. Because you have a shit ton of skills in your arena. So you can just tell them, this is what I can give you. Let me know if I can help you with this. Let me know if you're down for this. I'll work for free for a few months. If I'm of use to you, you can pay me how much ever you're willing to.
Yeah.
And
that's a super fair and powerful conversation because, it's sort of difficult to say no to something like that. Yeah. You're not demanding, you're leaving it open. And also, let's not forget, after that internship, let's say it all goes well, what do you get? At least can I have a review on my LinkedIn? Like, build up your reviews and testimonials. That review's worth something because now what have you done? You've just built your trust score up. So there are other things, not just monetary. And when you're particularly at early career or starting, getting contacts, testimonials, experience is the name of the game, but not unended and all of that, right? Yeah. When you feel like you've also got what you need, maybe you're going to be like, thank you very much.
I think part of the taking is rooted by the desires to get everything. Like if you're in Dubai, you want to experience the affluent lifestyle, right?
Yeah.
So you always want to earn money. Of
course.
Right.
Yeah.
And this definitely comes from bias because I've been very privileged.
Yeah.
But there are people who would be willing to do one hell of a job and put 120% of the effort that I put.
Yeah.
20, like they would be willing to work for less. Yeah. So then that's where the wage gap sort of forms.
Yes.
Like you get what I mean?
Yeah,
that's where like Indians are seen, they can work for cheaper,
Yeah.
That's where it all comes from. It's just, you need to change the way you think. Start from there, have some guts. Turn it around.
And also, I suppose I don't want to just be advocating for like give your labor and it's an energy exchange for free. The other part of this is, look, if you're in a place like Dubai, like we need money to survive in Dubai,
100%.
right? when you think about Maslow's hierarchy of need, that baseline is like, is us having our security, our food and our shelter. Look, if financially you need to earn and you can't offer up X amount of hours for free, then don't. Absolutely don't. And that's, your worth is your worth. And you can stick with that, and there will be someone who will give you
100%.
that as well. It might just mean you've got to do a bit more work researching and finding who that is, right? But there's always, it's like I don't know if eBay is very big here, but it's big in the UK. But I love the eBay business model because it's where supply meets demand right at that point. There is a price that somebody will buy that thing for, right? And that's the same with, there is, I think, a point that someone will pay or not pay for everything. So yeah, I'm not going to advocate this way or that way. I'm going to say we have to take into account meet the person where they're at. If you need to put food on the table, then you make sure you get paid for
100%.
whatever it is you're doing. Don't do it for free.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for spending time with us.
Thank you for having me, Bo.
It was really amazing. It was quite insightful.
Yeah, insightful.
Thank you so much for having me.
He's lost his wits.